we're ready. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Christopher D. Greif, Chair of the Outreach Update Committee, which today is a special one. With me is Deborah Greif, Chair and statewide of the Brooklyn Family Support Service Advisory Council.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm now going to turn it back over to Christopher.
Yes. Before I introduce Miss Young and Beautiful, same age as Debbie, age 32, and she'll kill me later. Well, I will introduce Miss Golden in a few minutes, but we have some other breaking good news that's coming around the boroughs. So I will do that. We'll do that in just a minute. But I'd like to remind everyone, housekeeping rules is very important. I'd like to remind you that the chatting mode is still turned off, and it will be turned on in just a few minutes. So if you have a question, you can use the chatting. It is available only to me, which is the host. The host will be making sure that all questions are being written down, or raise your hand if some of you have been testing it. Now, to remind everyone, since we don't have anyone on the phone and everyone's on camera, please make sure that as you are testing, you're raising your hands. Like one person, I'll say thank you for testing it. Please make sure you raise your hand if you have a question after Ms. Golden is completely finished her presentation. But if you want to write a question and you don't want to forget it, please put it on the chat and we will make sure we read those questions as well. So it is very important we follow the housekeeping rules as well. And this will be reminding as well. And I remind everyone, you see the hand spins around. Now, I'd like to remind everyone, this just came in just a few minutes ago, and this will be announced tomorrow, but since you guys get the front row tasting, all 5 borough DD councils will be doing the 5 borough legislative, well, it's really breakfast. It is scheduled, and you can register online. You can, visit us on our website. 2 elected officials, actually, one of them is actually here with us today, the Representative Roxanne Fasad. Fasad will be speaking at there, as well as Andrew Benares for Brooklyn. You can register online with this link here, or visit our website at the www.bfssac.com/special events, and you will register also for that conference on March 5th, which is next week. So please make sure you all are interested in that. Now, speaking of websites, yes, the website is back online and running even better than ever before, and with brand new stuff and some new surprises as well. So please make sure you visit our website, and it's very easy to get on. Even some of you might got a chance to test it out on the phone. It does help everyone to make sure that everyone please do. It's very easy to access by the phone, easy on the tablets, and easy on your computer. So please make sure you visit our website at .com. Our email is still available. Our office number is still there. And remind you, yes, Ann does check the voice messages.
And we thank her for that.
For that as well. Now, it is my greatest honor to introduce, and I already have her on the bigger screen now, even bigger, Ms. Golden, who's been really been helping with the 2020 census as well, and really a big help on this. So I give Miss Golden. Miss Golden, are you there? Computer. I don't see. Oh, here she is. There she is. Now I can hear her. Miss Golden, you there?
I am here. Hi, everyone. I'm Jolie Golden. I'm a partnership specialist with the U.S. Census Bureau. I have had the great pleasure of working with the BFSSAC for some time. I met Chris many months ago during my work reaching out to the community that serves people with disabilities, which is a very important community and one that we do have a depth of information about thanks to the American Community Survey. So Chris, can you?
I did. Waiting for you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So now I should be able to share my screen. Here we go. Share. I am going to pull up a presentation, which will take about 12 to 13 minutes, which will have a lot of information that hopefully will be helpful to you and hopefully some things that you don't know already. And then we'll do some live demonstration where I can dive into data.census.gov and share information related to the American Community Survey and our census narrative profiles. Sound good? Thumbs up?
Sounds fine.
Sounds good.
Okay. Well, here we go. Let's go here. So first and foremost, it is a huge thank you to our partners and to everyone who encouraged people to complete the 2020 census. We did numerous webinars. Thanks to Chris. There were postings on social media. There was just a ton of outreach in what I would call an extraordinary census. It was not business as usual for the Census Bureau. We extended our deadlines. Due to the pandemic, we had to do outreach in different ways, but we still achieved a very high self-response rate, which is the most accurate way to be counted, is to respond on your own. So in terms of the Census Bureau, we are not just a once every 10 years phenomena. We are always working to collect data to serve the American public. There are 3 censuses that we talk about. The decennial census is the one that's most well known as it affects representation and federal funding, school districts, and much more. The economic census measures the nation's economy every 5 years, and we also measure all of the individual local state governments and local municipalities every 5 years. Those 2 censuses, economic and census of governments, happen every 5 years in the year ending in 2. So next year, 2022, we will be doing the economic census and the census of governments. In terms of census versus survey, so in a census, we count each individual unit. So for the decennial census, we were counting 140 million households, one by one, and greatly helped by the fact that people submitted their own data, most of them. In terms of something like the American Community Survey, a survey is where we take a sampling of a population and then we project data out. So for something like the American Community Survey, which is a survey that we circulate to 3.5 million people each year, we cover each county. With the American Community Survey, we are random sampling the population and then making projections. We do cover population in each county of the United States, but it is far different than when we do our decennial census and count, and are busy counting 330 million people. We do demographic surveys, which measure income, poverty, education, health insurance, and much more, and those economic surveys that help with the nation's economy and supplement the economic census. In addition to the decennial census, we also do population estimates. So each year, in order to make sure that the correct amount of funding is going where it's needed, we'll update our population projections based upon reported births, deaths, and other statistics. So that's a little bit about what we do the other 9 years, 9 years after the decennial census. In terms of how data can help me, whether you're from a nonprofit and you're looking to apply for grant funding, whether you're creating a program that will better serve the community, whether you're curious about are there enough seats for schools in my neighborhood, that data can be incredibly helpful. It helps inform and it helps you make the case to others about planning needs. So the census is all about you and all about all of us, because the census is going to help with your census data, will help to make sure that your community is funded, that your needs are served, that we provide in terms of government, healthcare, education, that there are enough COVID vaccine benefits to go around to everyone who needs them, especially to critical populations that we measure. So we're all about the census. In terms of the decennial census, thanks to you, we counted everyone once, only once, and in the right place in 2020. We are targeting April 30th. Our current schedule is pointing to April 30th for the completion of apportionment counts. So that is when we will release the counts per state to the president for the purpose of representation. So only at that point will we know how many representatives we will have per state. In terms of redistricting, those counts will, and local municipality counts should be released by September 30th. So it is taking us a little longer than anticipated, but due to things like making sure we deduplicate our files correctly, making sure our group quarters counts are correct, and a number of other issues, we are doing as thorough a job as possible and taking the time needed to get it right. Legislative boundaries will be redrawn by the states based upon those population changes. And we also have data summits that are being planned for April through July of 2021. Those will be done regionally, and they'll also be some will be New York City specific. So I will circulate that out, and Chris will be able to circulate those dates out. Those are more like 30,000 foot presentations done by people from our census headquarters. So you'll get real expertise, but it may not, there'll be larger WebEx forums where you may not be able to ask the kind of, have the kind of give and take that we can have here on video, thanks to Chris. So diving into the American Community Survey, which I think would be a very useful tool for everyone on this call who's concerned about being able to locate specific information related to people with disabilities. We will, after, in another few minutes, we will do some live looking at the data.census.gov site where we can look at disability characteristics, both nationwide and by geography. If you look here, you can see on this wonderful slide, you see this American Community Survey data wheel. Well, if you wanted to see how the overall United States population compares with certain data statistics, you could easily click on this link, and I'll send Chris the presentation afterwards, and then come up with statistics. One of the things you see that you would notice here, if you can see this small print, I'm going to make it bigger, is that 22.4% of New York is foreign born, as opposed to the overall United States population, which is 13.7% overall. You also can see that we have a higher rate of people with health insurance, as only 5.2% don't have health insurance, and it's 9.2% countrywide. So the American Community Survey is a deep tool which results from us asking 72 questions on an 18-page survey. If you happen to hear of someone who got the American Community Survey, please encourage them to answer it. When we do our searches, you can drill down, you see all of these just different geographies where you can slice and dice the data. One of the ones that I'm going to show all of you, which is very important, is public use microdata areas. We nickname those PUMAs. That's the acronym PUMA, Public Use Microdata Area. Thanks to the New York City Planning Department and their requests, you're able to search these PUMAs, which are based on New York City community boards. So it's a nice way to get a nice piece of information about a local area, as opposed to just a single zip code or a smaller unit like a census tract. Even though there are very small units in the American Community Survey called block groups, the information available for those block groups is pretty limited because of privacy concerns. So we aren't going to release a lot of information on a granular level for that small a geography. A census tract is about 4,000 to 8,000 people. So should you have questions or want to do more training on the American Community Survey after this presentation, you can look here. And here's also the phone number or the email address to contact, just in case you or someone who your organization serves got an inquiry or got an American Community Survey and wanted to know about it. On to the American Housing Survey, shows characteristics of various housing in the metro area. You can see here the number of air conditioning units, but those characteristics and characteristics of the people that match that housing are important to determine housing needs. And businesses use it to get a better sense of their markets. This slide shows the population estimates program, which is the one that updates the population every year. That data is released in December. So that's just something to know about. And that will be used in federal funding allocations. So the economic census we mentioned measures US businesses every 5 years. We also have smaller surveys like the survey of business owners. So what's interesting on this slide, you can see that women-owned businesses are on the rise, as are Hispanic-owned businesses. If you then looked at population, you could see I was on a webinar today where I learned that there, the roughly I think we can look at the population by Hispanic population, which also is on the rise. So it makes sense that their businesses are also rising. So in terms of what's next, this is a list that shows some of the Data Summit presentations that may be coming your way. This is being refined. I happen to know that there's definitely one that's being discussed and hopefully will be part of the list that I send you, that's specifically about the older adult population and people with disabilities. So that would be one to be on the lookout for. ACS and population estimates data for grant writers, for anyone who does any grant applications for their offices, also might be very interesting, along with Census Bureau data for nonprofit professionals. There will also be a seminar specifically on redistricting data. So while we may not have the data in hand as of June or July of 2021, we will at least be able to show you how you will be able to use it. And you'll be all ready when it comes out. To learn more about the census, data.census.gov, after we're done, if you need a refresher, there are all these nice videos on census.gov/academy. They're called Data Gems, and they're hugely helpful, along with other training materials. And for any of you who are connected to education, there are evergreen materials on our Statistics in Schools website. Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to play video right now, but there's even a video called The Amazing Apportionment Machine. It's about 2 minutes, and it completely explains how apportionment works, how those representatives are allocated to the states in that 2 minutes. It's pretty amazing. For anyone who is looking for a census job, while we don't have jobs that pay at the same rate as the jobs that we had during the decennial census, we still are in need of field representatives and other people to work at the regional census center. So right here is where you apply for these jobs, and those jobs are ones which are not an online application. I believe it's a paper application that you either have to mail in or submit. We've not quite reached the 21st century with that application, but we're getting there. And then I wanted to see if I could hear from Chris or anyone else who helped to encourage a complete and accurate count in 2020 about what you felt that you did that was most effective. And if you felt that we were in touch with you about the right time or too early or too late in terms of the 2020 census. As we plan for 2030, we're interested in any of your best practices that you might want to share. Chris?
Yes, Ms. Golden, Deborah Greif, Chair of the Advisory, has some, her 2021, I'm ready to say 2020 again. 2021, her list is ready. She has a big piece of paper for you. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Golden. And by the way, before I go with my questions, I'm glad, you know that April 30th, besides when the data is supposed to be in, it's another important day. It's Christopher's birthday.
Oh.
So that's a nice birthday present for someone who listened to Mama all along, and I have to explain to him about the importance of census. So I'm glad, as the chair of the outreach committee, I'm very happy. Now, now in reference with, let's start with education first. We have issues about our schools not having enough supplies, but also not being truly accessible. And the biggest problem is special ed, because instead of, they always compare special ed to students who have no disability. So I making sure, I would like for us to be able to work to make the changes. There's more than one way to make changes, but we have to also add in the census, and those the forms you're talking about, is that we have to make sure that the federal government knows also that the child has a, whether it's physical or even in their parents, or just have a physical disability, if they cannot get into the school because the school is not truly ADA accessible, you're not going to be able to get the child to learn or help the families. So that's a very important thing we need to work on. In reference to seniors, we have that same issue. I have to also say that when it comes to housing, we need to also add in for the stockers, is the housing stock really accessible? Can a person, do they have programs to help people get into accessible apartments or homes? And whatever, how it's labeled, that's another part we have to work on. Reference to work, we have a big problem for people wanting to get jobs. If they have a disability and they're collecting under their parents' Social Security, if they make one more dollar than the parent, they lose their medical insurance, and that's a very scary thing when you have pre-existing conditions. Not just, I'm not talking only about the developmental disability, but about any physical conditions. And in reference with, we have to update that our legislators also have to be, you know, when we're, not all of them are really that considerate about people's disabilities. Community boards, I'm glad you used the data. I am a member of my local community board. The only thing I would like to see changed is that all community boards have to have committees on accessibility in more than one level, which is, it's not that easy to get done. I'm very lucky that on my board, we hope when we're able to hold our meetings, we were at a 100 ADA accessible place to meet at all times. We're one of the few that were able to do it. So these are a bunch of things, but yes, I want to take the trainings, and I want to work with the Census Bureau, because I would like to see over the next few years, moving up to 2030, that when the census starts asking us questions, we will also see how we can keep improving accessibility to everyone.
So Deborah, can you tell me which community board you serve on? Because that will be something that we can look at. I think that'll be interesting.
15 in Brooklyn.
Okay, CB 15 in Brooklyn.
In fact, we're meeting tonight.
That's exciting. Well,
I'll send you the link. Chris and I'll send you the link later.
Good luck getting on.
Look, it's WebEx, but the chair of the community board, she's very open-minded.
Very good. Well, listen, first, let's look at, I'm going to stop sharing this screen.
No, leave it on. Leave it on.
It's okay.
Leave it on. All right. Well, I'm going to do a new share so that I can share. We can go dive into data.census.gov. How's that? So are you now seeing, I just want to make sure that you are now seeing this nice data. This is data.census. This is, let's go. I'm going to take you back. So if you entered in data.census.gov, you would get to this page.
Wait 1 second.
I'm sorry, Ms.
Sure.
Miller, 1 second, because someone just came on and just want to.
Sure. Welcome them in.
Yeah, we are. We just want to make sure they got on.
Okay, there you go. Now we can see everything.
Great. So we're on data.census.gov, and we're going to go, it says explore census data. I know that this may not look like your most exciting web page, but actually it is. If we go into advanced search, and if you want, you can walk along with me. If we go into advanced search, first we'll go to years and we'll hit 2019. And whenever we click on something, the nice thing is you see it down here below as a filter. So I'm at years, data.census.gov, then advanced search, and now we're in years. I clicked on 2019. Now I'm going to go to geography. And remember, I mentioned public use microdata area. This is our key to get to community board information. So after public use microdata area, we're going to click on New York because that's where we live.
That's true.
And the first 100 results will come up. And instead of having to do an onerous search through that, we're going to click on this little search tab right here. And let's just put in Brooklyn. So look how nice this is. So Brooklyn community districts come up. Not only can you see them, but you can see the areas that they cover. So I'm looking, I know they're not, I'm looking, here's district, oh, where did it go? I just had it. Hold on, I lost Brooklyn, 1 sec. I'm re-entering Brooklyn.
There's 18 boards.
I know, which is great. And here's number 3. So when I click on Brooklyn, New York City, Brooklyn Community District 3, it's Bed-Stuy, Puma, New York. And down here, here's Brooklyn Community District 3. Now, let's make sure we're getting to the right place. So now I'm going to click on search in the bottom right corner. And this shows that there are about 144,000 people represented in that community district. And I am going to go to maps because I want to double check and make sure that I've gotten to the right place in Brooklyn. So this is the super cool part of the presentation. So here's the map. You can even drill in further and all of the street names will come up. And here's CB3 in Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy.
Bed-Stuy, yeah, Bed-Stuy.
Right? I'm going to click on this. So now it's selected, and this is the actual number of the Puma. And I'm going to look over here at tables. And this is just pulling up the first table, but over here you see there are 1,210 results. So that is a lot of tables. And since I know that we can get to a more narrow, and this is the 1-year estimate. So sometimes you see it'll be a 5-year estimate. This is the 1-year estimate. If I filter this, here I go. I selected 2019. I selected Community District 3. Now I want to go to topics because topics really interest me. And I'm going to click on health. And lo and behold,
I love something.
What do I see?
Disability.
I've got disability here, right? And now the amazing thing is I go over here and I see all of these different tables. So I've got 53 results, which is much more manageable. I happen to like this disability characteristics table. And I think you'll be very excited to see some of what's going to be on the screen now. I'm just going to minimize right now. I'm seeing everyone. I minimized you guys so I can see everything. So what's helpful on this table, first of all, it shows the total number of people. We can customize this table on the right side and remove the margin of error. And all of a sudden, this gets much more legible. So you can see, and look at this, Chris. You can see disability type detailed by age. So I can see in Community District 3, what % of people have a hearing disability and what the age breakdown is of those people. So, you know, it's no secret that it tends to be people who skew. People tend to have hearing loss, often have hearing loss when they're older. I experienced this with my own mother. People have vision difficulty, cognitive difficulty, ambulatory difficulty at 7%, self-care. So you can, this is all free information, and we accessed it for the Bed-Stuy Puma. But let's say you wanted to access it, you wanted to go back, and the back button is our friend here. You wanted to go back?
Can we try a different a different area of Brooklyn?
Sure, we can. Let's go back to filter.
Because
And then
no,
instead of, right, we'll cross out Community District 3 and we'll go to geography. And what would you like to see? Would you like to see the whole county?
I like to, well, that's one, but I wanted to see South Brooklyn because that area of South had a lot of issues with the censors. And
Well, in terms of South Brooklyn, do you mean like Brownsville? Do you want to see Brownsville?
no, that's not South.
It's not South.
That's North Brooklyn.
11,
No.
13, 15,
No.
14.
I can tell you the zip code. Zip code.
Okay, let's go to public use microdata area and we'll go to New York.
Yeah, you have the zip codes right there. That's what I was looking.
Try 11223.
How about you got 11229? That's even better. That's right here. That's also not here.
So here's all Pumas.
Okay.
I'm going to search.
Let me move my thing.
I want them to come up the way they did before. All right, this is a little exciting here. So what area did you say? If I scroll down here, I'll get to all these New York City areas.
Hold on. Slow down. You went past Brooklyn. Now we're in the Bronx.
Nope, I'm here. Here's Brooklyn.
Hold on. That's what I'm trying to look. Hold on. There it is. There it is. Right there.
Brighton Beach?
Yeah, I want to see that one. That one's the worst of all.
Do you want to see Brighton Beach? Do you want to see multiple? We can choose multiple.
Try Gravesend. There was another one that I'm trying to look.
It's 11223. 11224.
Hold on. We can search by various zip codes. I'm not seeing hold on. I'm not seeing Gravesend yet. If you know the community district numbers, then
15.
it makes 15. Okay, let me get to 15. So we've got 13 and 12, 14, here's 15. So that's Sheepshead Bay. There it is.
Close enough.
Okay, so let's look at these two. Now we'll go to the map. So that's South, that's a nice chunk of South Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Right?
Big chunk.
A really big chunk because
Big chunk. We're gonna go to disability characteristics. We'll go to tables. Hold on. Here we go. Okay, so it's going to generate our table. Now here's the thing. It's going to give you, it'll give you both. Do you see how as I scroll over, there's District 13 data and here's District 15.
That's good.
If we hit and this is the 1 year estimate. If we hit customize table, we get rid of the margin of error, and all of a sudden we can see a lot of this data on one screen. We can see that in District 15, Sheepshead Bay, et cetera, it's 9.8% of people report have a disability. And in the Coney Island, Brighton Beach area, 17.5%. Now that's right, that's higher than average. Let's drill down. You can see the breakdown by sex of who reported, by race, and here we go with a in terms of type of disability. So here's hearing difficulties, 3.3% in District 13 in Brighton Beach, Coney Island. Vision difficulties, 2.1%. I also know there's a pretty large senior population, so cognitive difficulty, right? And ambulatory difficulty in that area is 13.5%. So these statistics are good statistics for you in terms of making the case for needs in these areas. Here's self-care. Here's the independent living difficulty is 12.6% in that area. I've worked with agencies there. I know there are a lot of agencies that that serve the elderly in the community.
Yes. And they also work with the people with the disabilities as well. We are familiar with a good amount of them because they don't just work with intellectual, but they also deal with mental health as well.
with all
So
the,
Yeah.
if you wanted to see, this is very granular data. If we went to, I want to show you, we'll jump back to this, but I just want to show you these narrative profiles for American Community Survey. This is another really nice way to look at information. And we can look for, let's look for Brooklyn County, okay? Let's just take a quick look at this because this has some of the same data, but a little differently. I'm sorry, not Brooklyn, Kings County. So let's go to the Kings County and just give this a second as it loads. And this tells the story of Brooklyn in data. So across the 5-year span, there were 958,567 households. You can see the average household size. You can see native and foreign born, where people are from, more from Latin America, what languages they speak, whether they live in the same place, what level of education people have. And here is the statistic overall for disability in Brooklyn. So here you have 10% reported a disability and how that disability was reported by age. You could also pull all those very specific statistics for Brooklyn as well, but I wanted to show you this snapshot because I think it gives you a sense of who the people are in Brooklyn and even how they get to work. So 61% of them, Chris, I know you're so involved with transportation, 61%.
Well, you can tell because I'm wearing my updated shirt. I'm lucky I'm not wearing my tough shirt today.
So if you were doing, say, if you were doing a grant application for something related to Brooklyn, you could look at, you could easily snip this information and put it right into your grant application. It says that 20% of people were in poverty, the number of children, the percent of children below. You can look at the data in a table in terms of those percentages or in these nice bar graphs. But it tells you, it gives you a very nice sense of the population and the sweet spot of where the population lies. And even how many people at the bottom of this, how many people have access to internet access. If you think about children in need and education right now that's virtual, that's a lot of people to make sure they have internet access to be able to go to school.
Yeah, actually, yeah, we've been having there's been issues because right now that information, MOPED has been giving out free Wi-Fi information right now, but there are still some issues because a lot of the students still not got tablets or laptops, or all of a sudden they just die right there.
I know it's a huge problem. Now, in terms of so at this point, I can happily continue, we can continue searching and looking at different data. I don't know if you want to, one of the other things you can do is you can copy this web address for these individual tables. When you find a table you like, it's easy just to copy the address up here in the nav bar. And then if you cut and paste that back in at another time, it'll go back to your exact same favorite table. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. Can you also write on the chat the how to get on this website?
Yes. Okay, hold on.
And everyone's still asking me for your email and phone number.
Oh, don't worry. I can send that. Let's see, hold on.
The chat is open, so I'm going to remind everyone. The chat is open. If you
here's the chat. Okay, I'm going to put my name, Jolie Golden, U.S. Census Bureau. I'm going to put it in right now. Sorry for the typing.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay, I just want to add something to everybody I know can hear me. This is very important data that we can use when we're advocating for the services our population needs. as well as the rest of the families. So, take advantage of this. Everybody take the training because helps us to show that of the data that we have to prove why we may need these services, not why we definitely need them. So this is a big help to us because data gets funding.
Yeah. And
right. You need data to apply for funding. And I know over the course of our work together that you were concerned about the fact that the census did not specifically ask about disability. It's a very, very small sampling of questions, 10 questions on the census, but the American Community Survey has a terrific amount of information. And so I think it's really helpful for you to be able to go in here. You can look at status if you wanted to look into disability status by age or by sex by age, by hearing. We could also look at, I think it's also interesting to see the national statistics. Do you want to see should we look at the national statistics?
Yes, but when is the American survey? When do we have to get that completed by?
That is, that's being done constantly. So that's constantly circulating within the community. That's the one where we random sample 3.5 million people every year. So let's say we go back to filters, right? Mm-hmm. And we want to go to geography, and we're just going to go to national data. We're going to go to nation and United States.
Yeah.
And then, hold on. And then, where is it? Come on. Oh, here we go. Nation, United States, and then we'll go to disability. We'll go to the same disability characteristics.
Yeah, there were some questions. I just want to make sure everyone else who are on this video, I want to make sure
yes.
Like I'm going to say, does anyone have a question? Can you please raise your hand or say something? Because this is important. We need to hear. First of all, I'm going to start with this phone person first so I can see who this is. Phone person, you're off the mute. Can you please?
Sure, and I just want to, before we jump to the question, I just want to show you, here is the national data that's projected from that ongoing sampling. Okay. So it estimates within the whole population that 12.7% of people have a disability, which is 41 million people.
That sounds
and that even includes the veterans who have been disabled.
And you can see the breakdown by race, by age, and by specific disability.
Well, Miss Golden.
Okay, question on the phone.
Yeah, I was trying to get to the question. Hello, phone person. Can you please identify yourself?
Do it, and
you're talking very low. I cannot hear you.
Please talk louder.
I say no.
Is this Ursula?
You can use. I say no. I don't have any.
Oh, it's Ursula.
Ursula, you don't have a question? Because I can't barely hear you.
Ursula, we can't hear you.
Right now, anything. Do you get any confirmation regarding this link?
She's not paying attention, so I'm.
Any confirmation about the claims made? Well, the data that's in there is. Oh, wait.
Hold on. Ursula, is this Chris? Okay, now she's unmuting and playing with it. Okay. Ursula, you're off the mute button. Please speak a little louder because you're talking very, very low. Hello?
Ursula. Okay, you know what?
Does anyone else have a question?
Yeah, I'm good. Let's see.
I thought I heard Cliff.
I don't know. Cliff? Datis, do you have a question?
I would just like to say that Ms. Golden is amazing and that this is a very comprehensive and thorough review of a lot of great information that we can use for, for reaching out to funders. So awesome job. And as long as we have your contact information, because, it is a complicated database and, whenever reach out to you, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I am happy to be helpful. I can tell you that my position, which I've been in for 2 years, is a longer term temporary position, even after I may be gone after June 30th, but we have a data dissemination department, and I will connect Chris and make sure he knows how to reach out to them.
Are you planning to leave us already?
Well, it's that, you know, I can take very little credit for all of this information. Takes the whole Census Bureau and so many people in the field. I'm just happy to be your guide in getting you to access it. And I'm always happy to walk someone through the site to the best of my ability, or to put you in touch with the data dissemination specialist, Cliff, and others, who is our super expert in terms of diving in. And we also sometimes, if you go on our, you can sign up for emails on census.gov, and they have these nice webinars all the time. I just was on one today that talked about the census and how to find characteristics by race. And it's something that's a little complicated to understand, so it was really helpful to see an expert from headquarters go through the whole thing. And that's something that I think you would enjoy. If you enjoyed seeing this presentation, then attending that Data Summit presentation about disability characteristics will be very interesting. I think that'll be also very helpful in terms of framing and finding information, especially as the 2020 data is released. Okay, anyone else?
Let me just check. We do have a representative elected official. I'm going to say
from Senator Roxanne Perez-Prasad. Do you have something you'd like to say, my dear?
No, I don't have a question. Thank you so much, Ms. Golden. I've learned a lot today.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Well, if you have my information, feel free. And we also, I mean, I was connected through Chris because I did some work in Brooklyn, but we also have people who are who specifically work on Brooklyn, you know, Brooklyn partnership. And if you want to if you need to reach out to anyone, just let me know and I'll happily connect you.
All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Now, Ms. Golden, there were some people couldn't make it today because, you know, it's meeting season when I say that, and Cliff will agree with me on that. There were questions. I don't know if the question maybe was answered already, but there were some people question. There were like 3 or 4 questions. Question number 1 I'm going to start with is, since we all did the 2020 census last year, do we know the percentage total for New York City or New York State, whatever?
The percentage of people who self-responded, or
who did the 2020 census period?
Okay, so let's go to, I'm going to open another tab here, and I'm going to go to 2020census.gov.
Yeah.
Okay.
And once you do that, Ms. Golden, I just want to let everyone know, if anyone else has additional question, whoever's on the, Ursula's on the phone, please *9 yourself to raise your hand. Cliff or Eileen, forgive me the names. If you have a question, please raise your hand or please let me know on the chat and I will make sure I get to you too.
So here we are on our old favorite website, 2020census.gov. We go under Get the Facts and we see response rates. So we are going to click on that and you can get a sense of how many people, you can look at we look at the self-response rate map, or we can look at response rates by state. So I know, let's go to the response rates map because we can get in a little deeper there. So we're gonna go to, we can go to, let's go to Kings County. So our state is going to be New York. And you can do this anytime. And that'll bring up the count for New York State, which was 64.2% is the we count everyone, but the self-response rate where we didn't have to go knock on the door and we didn't have to call people was 64.2%. If you look at this map, you can highlight over the states and see how the response rate in Washington State on the West Coast was 72.4%. The response rate in Florida was 63.8%. If we want to look by county, so we can get a little deeper, we could even go down to census tract. So here's Queens, here's Bronx, here's Kings. Okay, so Kings County self-response rate was 59.1%. And the internet response was 47%, Chris, and everyone. Queens was 62, so Queens edged you out a little bit. And the Bronx was 62.8, and somewhere in here you get to Manhattan, which is about 63. If you go, there's a map that CUNY puts out, what's called the hard to count map, where you can see the comparison with 2010. We could also dive into, in terms of county, let's select Kings County and go from there.
You know, Ms. Golden, just to answer that question from a second question, it looks like it went a little more higher than 10 years ago.
I don't think we're higher than 10 years ago in New York, because
I'm only talking about in the New York City end, because I did look for something like this in the 10 years ago one. There is a little more difference, because last time, looking at the numbers now here and then, it was 10% difference. It was 52 and someone was showing 40 something. I think what the website now doing is it does help a little more.
So the overall New York City response rate was 61.9%, whereas the state response was 64.2. So this just gives you, this is the self-response. It's everyone who either filled out the paper form, went online, or dialed in. And I know that everyone worked hard to get people to respond. And what you can see here is in New York, in the city, 49.6% responded online. So that was actually higher than we predicted. We did not predict that high a self-response rate, especially with the internet. We didn't predict that the internet would be as, we thought some more people would dial, only about less than 2% dialed in by phone.
I will definitely say it's a big difference from now to 10 years ago, because I think it's showing us now. I think in the next 10 years we will be doing even better. The only problem is I think we could have done better, but the problem was with coronavirus, it hit a little bit. But I'll say it looks a little better than 10 years ago.
Except there's one thing you should be proud of. The Census Bureau did more outreach this time in more than one way.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
Huh?
You did more outreach. You did different types of outreach, so it eventually will pay off.
Yeah, you actually, Ms. Golden, that's another question that came up. Your outreaching levels were actually even fantastic because it was on TVs, on different shows. And the one thing I've seen a lot of people were doing it. So there is a little more, it's a much better than.
It's getting there.
It's a little more better than everywhere else. But the only thing, if we didn't have this coronavirus.
We didn't have COVID-19. We also lost a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people died.
Yeah.
That affected a lot.
Yeah.
Why don't you give me, all right, let's go by county in New York, and let's do Kings. So what this is the CUNY hard to count map, which pulls data from our census map. So what you can see here is that the Kings County self-response rate was 52.1%. And then down here, you can see that it is a little, it looks like it was 59% in 2020, so it was a hair better for Kings County in 2020 than in 2010. This CUNY map shows it does a nice job showing comparisons.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Can you put that in the chat, please?
Yes, this
Because
is,
because I like to have a little lesson tomorrow at our joint meeting. Because no, there's a reason. Because I'm looking at it from here. You just proved me right. Because this looks like it's gonna this year's looks like it went up a little bit. I was right when I said it.
No, it's just a little.
hold on. So here's, you were talking about Coney Island, so you could actually look at, you could actually go into, I think here you could go into, you could see the self-response by census tract.
Mhm.
Well, I can also tell you for a fact, I'm looking at the
Here.
map right now, and where I exactly live is dark blue, so I'm happy.
Well, very good.
I just made myself very happy because I know that there's a minute,
Congratulations.
and my brother's going to say, hurry up, fill it out. I said, relax, we're going to do it. So,
Okay, I'm going to put in the chat,
This.
the, so it's the hard to count 2020 map from CUNY. Okay. Okay, everyone, this has been such a pleasure. Are there any other questions that I can answer?
Hold on. We got a hold on. Hold on. No, I got you, Miss Golden.
Okay.
Let me just double check with the people we have. Does anyone have any questions for Miss Golden? I think all the information we see, and I will say this, and it just proved me right on that chart. We did a little better.
where I live.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Let me just double check. Cliff, do you have a question? I say,
Eileen.
Eileen, do you have a question? Guys, are you there?
Okay, Eileen said she's good. Cliff is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
good,
we
thank you.
all
Thank
set?
you, Chris, I'm okay.
Okay, I'm just making sure because I want to make sure I didn't leave anyone out.
So,
Cliff, you're off the mute. So, do you have a question for her?
No, I just think she's wonderful. I think she took a very complicated subject and a confusing subject and really broke it down in a way that we could understand. And we're counting on you, Chris, to be the point person for all of this information going forward.
Does that mean I get a raise now, Cliff, from you?
Yes.
You know we just.
yes, we got that on.
Very large raise.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But you know something? I take credit because I made sure to restore his talents and tell him to go for it.
And this just helps us also to make sure that we still need to keep advocating and keeping ourselves up to date on this.
Sure.
And we can help the early intervention preschool more because you see, data is what we need to prove to them why we need the help and services. So
Sure.
we'll have to work very hard with Ms. Golden and anyone with the data to start doing proof so that we can
As long as she's still with the bureau, we
Don't
should
worry.
fully pick her brain.
Yes, go right ahead.
You heard that, Miss Golden?
I am here to be helpful. Another, you were interested in children, so
You know what? I'll explain to you quick.
Oh, but hold on.
It's
Mhm.
early intervention in preschool. So we'll have to discuss this another because we have a few more questions. But that's a big problem we're having.
um,
Anybody else have
Hold on, hold
questions?
on. I'm gonna, Ursula, do you have a question? You're off the mute. I can't hear you, Ursula. Can you please repeat that again?
Hello?
Hello? Oh, now I can hear you.
Now we can hear you. Go ahead.
Do you have a question?
No, I don't have a questions. Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome. All right. Nobody else has questions. Let me just explain to Ms. Golden what the problem
Okay,
is.
Miss Golden. Deborah, are you there, Miss Golden?
I am here.
Okay, now I will explain to you the problem. All right, when early intervention programs have been cut severely because it seems that it's too expensive to spend the correct amount of money on children who need it. It used to be in family court, but then it was taken out. And instead of families getting help early on, they're not. That's for early intervention. It goes from birth to 3. Then from 3 to 5 is really preschool. Now, in New York City, we've been losing a lot of the preschools who handle kids with special needs are closing because the Department of Ed has, for the 4 and the 3-year-olds, but they are required by law because a IEP is a document, whether it's in preschool or in regular school, and they steal and pay better the teachers and the paraprofessionals and the speech therapists and the OTs and PTs better, but instead of paying the schools that can handle and deal with the children correctly, they're not. So we have families whose kids are sitting at home. If they did a mass lawsuit through the IEPs, it would be very financially devastating. But if we have the data, that will help a lot too.
The data can always be helpful. I can't speak to anything else, but I just can tell you that when you have the data, it always makes your case stronger, especially when you use data from a verifiable, recognized source like the Census Bureau, because that is, something that's going to be, it's the data standard. And we're the largest collector of data.
I know that. There's one other thing, though, I'd like to make change in, if possible. Reference to education. Children with disabilities who are in special ed, for whether it's a District 75 or community special ed, should not be compared to the other children, because what happens is they close the schools. These children learn completely different. So that's one issue. The other issue is that they need to have more data on schools that are not physically accessible. And that's a big problem too.
I'm going to see if I'm going to ask our data dissemination specialist if there's any data on, if we have data through one of our other surveys that may relate to the accessibility of public buildings like schools. I'm not sure, but what I can tell you is I went back to Brooklyn Community District 13 for Brighton Beach and Coney Island. Yeah. And I just wanted to show you that there is this nice table that has children characteristics. And when you look at it, you can see that there are 22,521 children under 18 years of age total. You can see how many are under 6, what percentage. Mm-hmm. And you can also see down here the disability status. Out of those 22,000 children, that 3.7% show having a disability. It then also lists the school enrollment, which I also think is interesting. You can see how many are not enrolled in school, how many are in public school, and how many people are in private school. And the vast majority are served in this district by public school. Yep. But out of those 18,000 children, there are definitely children who are also getting supplemental assistance and who have disabilities. So they're, I know that you're advocating for everyone in Brooklyn, but you also may be able to drill down to specific areas where there may be more need.
Well, I'm trying, because I was a parent member on special ed where I did it in the schools, and I can tell you what I saw, I'm not happy with it. But we could work at another day or time and discuss more. But thank you for letting us know about this info, because it'll be very helpful for us.
Sure, that's my job. I can't help you with programming or with implementing new programs. What I can help you with is getting the data that may help you to make your case.
I appreciate that very much.
I will send Chris some links to some of the information that we talked about today, and he can disseminate it out to the group and to anyone else that he sees fit. Data.census.gov is your source for American Community Survey data, and then these narrative profiles give you the overview, and then the data.census.gov is where you can go into advanced search and do the deeper dive. So
that's wonderful. We can get people that are really good in digging with us to help.
Sounds good.
This will be. Does anybody else have any questions for Miss Golden
Before she goes.
before she leaves? Because it's getting close to
Yeah.
saying thank you and we have to say goodbye. Just for today.
Okay,
Uh,
thank you very much.
let me just say this. Everyone, thank you for coming. And this is a reminder, everyone, this is recorded and this will be shown on the YouTube page. So I hope that everyone who is on, please watch this video, pass it to your friends, mothers, brothers, sisters, cousins, and pass it to your elected officials who are already representing there. Please pass it to
And
them.
educate them and show them the numbers of people, whether it's children to adults or with disabilities, whichever population, who are not getting the right services.
And I'll just remind everyone, please register for the 5-borough. It's very
Legislative
breakfast, which is available on our website. So I hope everyone got a chance to play on your phone with it, because you can register right on your phone, right on your computer, and right on your tablet. This is, again, the website is www.b as in boy, F as in Frank, S as in Sam, S as in Sam, A as in Apple, C as in Charlie.com. And Ms. Golden's will be also added, her information will be available on the website at the end of this week, because I want to make sure I have all the information in. And I want to make sure I put the puzzles in, and everyone will be notified about this information. I'd like to thank everyone who came. I'd like to thank our representative, Roxanne Fasad, Eileen, who came, Cliff Davis, Ann Menino, Nick, who was here earlier, Ursula, who's on the phone. But a special, extra special thanks goes to Joanne Golden, who really gave us an extra weaponry arsenally information, because this will help us in the 21-22 future to make sure that families with people with disabilities, seniors, and everyone from baby to seniors to get the necessary help. I want to thank everyone, and I hope to see everyone tomorrow at our joint meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Golden.
Thank you.